Welcome to the Possibility Action Network podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Middleton, aka Possibilityman. We're committed to bringing you guests who strive to better people's lives and serve as a force for good in the world. Our guest today is Suparna Ghosh. She is a happiness and life coach, as well as a lifestyle practitioner. She's the co-founder of Conscious Music Code. Ms. Ghosh, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to come to this podcast and speak a little bit about the kind of work that I do. And let me tell you that the kind of work that you are doing is
Uh,
amazing. Yes.
well, I
So, Possibility Action Network. So, this word possibility opens up a beautiful imagery in my mind, when you say
that's
possible.
wonderful.
Yes,
That is
yes.
wonderful. Thank you for saying that. And I'm so excited to talk with you because of the work that you are doing. And but I want to first remind our listeners and our viewers to follow, like, and share this podcast wherever you find it. Well, as I said before, I see the work that you're doing is all over the internet, and I thought I got to get her, and I'm so glad to have this opportunity. So let me ask you this: what started you on this journey that you're on?
Ah, I need to really go back in time then, because ever since I've been a child, I've been a thinker, and so there would be complaints coming to my mom that, you've been called to school because when the teacher teaches, she is looking outside the window
Uh,
and dreaming. So,
uh-huh.
I've been like that from my childhood. So people fascinated me right from my childhood. If I was traveling, if I would see somebody standing on the roadside, I would just try to wonder, how does this man sound? Or what kind of home does he come from? So these were questions that would keep intriguing me. And as I grew up, I studied pure science till my school. So, like hardcore physics, chemistry, and maths. And
Uh-huh.
the calling, of course, was different. And so in college, I took up psychology. And
Mhm.
then I did my post graduation and specialization in clinical psychology. So that's how I began my journey. Yeah. But the most important influence in my life has been my mom.
Mm.
And hence,
Mhm.
today, I call myself a happiness coach. I have
Uh-huh.
shifted a bit from my hardcore counseling to mostly to happiness coaching.
Uh-huh. I love it. I love it. So even in college, then, as someone who became a psychology major, then a clinical psychologist, you knew that you wanted to work with people. Is that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
People were, I love people, and
Uh-huh.
people always fascinated me right from my childhood.
Uh-huh.
And I'm so happy to, and I feel so blessed that
Mm.
my passion and my vocation, I could blend the,
Wow.
yeah.
So have you always felt that people could, resolve their, let's say, emotional pain? Have you always felt that people could actually get better and feel better? Is that something that has always been with you?
Yes, of course, of course.
Wow.
Uh, I very strongly believe that no matter the kind of emotional pain or the trauma that
Mm.
one is going through, uh, it is possible to overcome. Sometimes we can do it ourselves, and sometimes we need some hand holding, and
Uh-huh.
wherein, people like us come into play. But
Yeah.
it is possible.
Hmm.
Uh, the, the, the the causes can be deep rooted. So it's very important
Mm.
for the person who is handling the client to look deep down and find out
Yeah.
the causes that has created.
Uh-huh. I see. But not only, and this is fascinating to me about you because not only did you do the traditional route, you go to school, you become a psychology major, you do clinical psychology, but then you begin to branch out into things like NLP.
Yeah.
What is NLP and why did you branch out to it as one of the tools in your wheelhouse?
Um, See, I am a seeker and I am a learner by nature. I love to learn new things. I don't want to stop, because I feel if I stop, I grow old. So when I heard of NLP, I've been hearing about NLP for quite some time, and I was wondering what is NLP all about, and hence I went to a mentor to learn about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and how what I do now is I integrate NLP and my knowledge of psychology, and also my knowledge of mental space psychology, which also I did later, and I'll come to talk about it later. So all this I integrate, because for me, it is not the method that is important. It is my client and my client satisfaction, which is more important. So I'm not rigid. I'm not stuck with the methodology. And hence I went into NLP, which speaks about neuro-linguistic programming and how what we talk and what we think, it affects our subconscious.
Yeah, I love it. Your clients, you say, are more important than the tool, but the tool is help the client. I love that very much. So then you also, and again, this is like branching out, you are a consultant in social panorama. First of all, what is social panorama? And then what does a social panorama consultant do?
Okay. No. Social panorama is the certification, right?
Okay.
But it is actually Dr. Lucas Turks from Netherlands. He has come out with this new paradigm of mental space psychology. And mental space psychology says that we keep things in locations in our mind. Yeah. And then depending on the location, we either feel good or we feel not so good about things. So the location is very important, where in the mind we have kept those things. So that is mental space psychology. And social panorama is a special certification where you deal with people and how to deal with people around us and how we keep them, where we keep them, and how to understand this whole design. That is all about social panorama. So we learn how to help people with their relationship issues, particularly, because most of the relationship issues crop from where I've kept my father, where I've kept my boss.
So as someone who looks at social panorama and from all of the other studies you've done, is there a time when a person may need to withdraw himself from a certain community or from a certain person? Or do you think it's possible for us to work through all difficulties, no matter who we're with?
Oh, well, there's no one size fits all, but depending on the situation, the gravity of the situation, it may be required that a person withdraws from that particular community for some time. Because if that community is creating too much of pressure, because as a therapist or a coach, my job is to give my client the relief. So that's very important.
Okay, so then it is possible that a person may be triggered by a situation, and in that particular case, maybe a certain person may need to back away until they get in a better place.
Yes, of course. Sometimes it's important to take that person out of that situation so that the person can at least breathe.
Yeah, I got you. But you mentioned mental space a moment ago. I think mental space psychology. What is that, and how is that connected to social panorama?
As I said, I was just telling you that mental space psychology is the science, and social panorama is the certification.
Okay.
So the social panorama certification is based on mental space psychology. That is a science.
I got it. I got it. So now, why is it you feel that people may need to talk to a consultant or a coach like yourself? What is it about modern life that makes you relevant? I'm just curious how you think about this. I'm not
Well,
trying to talk you out of a job now, but
Stephen, the interesting part is most of my clients, I could say about 99% of my clients are young people.
mm,
So, the modern life is affecting the youth the most, and especially the millennials, the Gen Z. They belong to a very different thought process. They are not in for structure. They're not in for coercion. They're not in for pressure. They believe in autonomy. They believe in freedom. They believe in independence, and their thought process is very different. They think about a better world, higher consciousness. So now, most of the workplaces have not been able to adapt to these people. We are still in that old format, especially in a country like India. So what is happening is these kids, I call them kids, of course, but these millennials and these Gen Zs, they find it very, very difficult to cope. And hence, there is a big need for people like us to just go out, reach out to them and help them out.
mhm. So when you say they're looking for, they're moving toward a higher consciousness,
Right.
what does that mean? Does that mean that they are seeing like the universe bigger than our construction of, it's my God and you can have your God? Is it something about that, or what is that? This higher consciousness?
Well, I because I talk to them so closely, what I find is these people are more spiritual. When I say spiritual, I'm not talking about God.
Okay.
When I say spiritual, it's all about the inward journey, knowing oneself better. And I
Yeah.
find them much more than what we were in our times at their age. We were not so focused on these things, but today's these youth, they are much more inward in a way, and they are seeking, they are trying to look for the truth and trying to find that purpose. Why are we here? What is this world? What is this universe? There are questions in their mind. What is the reason for me being in this world, and how can I make this world a better place?
Yeah.
And
What kinds of,
sorry. Yeah.
no, you're fine. What kinds of insights would you say some of them are getting from that type of deep inquiry about why am I here? What is the nature of the universe? What type of insights are they getting, you think?
I'll give you an example. Just last week, we had a conscious music code program. I'm the co-founder of Conscious Music Code, and most, like about out of 40 participants, at least 37 of them were youth. And I was observing them and the kind of questions they were putting up, or the kind of response they were giving, that shows that they have no basic need. They don't need a car or a job or money. That's there. It seems they're okay with that. But what they are looking for is something deeper. It's like a quest. Why am I here? Of what good can I be to this world? How can I make this world a better place? And especially coming from a country like India, where we have so many other problems, right from pollution to poverty to other things. I find them so evolved, amazing for their age. So my heart goes out to the youth of today.
Yeah. That's wonderful, because many people, when they talk about the youth today, they want to condemn them, but you're saying your heart goes out to them. But let me ask you this. So what do you think they see that gives them some reassurance about their place in this world? What type of insight do you think they're getting?
You see, these youth, because they are looking for answers. So what happens is some of them, that is why a lot of them are either involved in some kind of spiritual organizations, because that's where it helps them to get answers to the questions that they are asking for. Like I am a part of a Buddhist practice, and I see the number of youth that is there.
Yeah.
And and for them, it is all about creating an impact in this world,
That's
leaving
wonderful.
a mark in this world, and
Yeah.
The mission, the vision,
Yeah.
and the purpose of life.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, actually. I love it. Now, you mentioned Conscious Music Code and that you are a co-founder. Firstly, share with us, what is Conscious Music Code? Tell us about that as much as you want to share.
Yeah, Conscious Music Code is basically a tech-based music wellness program. So in Conscious Music Code, music has been used consciously to uplift the life state of a person, no matter where. So, of course, we have different programs. We have programs like Beat the Burnout or Happiness Now, New You Now, But depending on the state the person is, we take them through a journey which is based on music. And of course, now we are shifting to multisensory. So we are using smells, we have fragrances, we are using sound, of course, and we are planning to use the other sensory inputs like touch, and taste. So very soon we'll be incorporating all that so that a person goes through a transformation sensorially, most importantly, sensorially, and it triggers the subconscious.
Wow. I love that a lot. It's like, you can choose your music to create a better effect. I love it. Conscious music. Thank you. Now you posted something on LinkedIn recently that really caught my attention. And it was like, when life knocks you down. Do you recall posting something about life may knock you down? What were you trying to share with your community, not only on LinkedIn, but wherever people find you on social media? When life knocks you down, then what?
Yeah, you see, life will knock us down. That's okay. I mean, we need to be prepared for that. If we are going in this journey of life, there may be situations, there may be people, there may be things happening in our life. And then sometimes we feel, oh, that's it. I can't take it anymore. Yeah. That's fine. But then the moment this happens, we really need to be like that, like that, what do you call it? That punching doll?
Yeah.
You punch, then it falls and it comes up again. There are only two positions the punching doll has. Either it's up or it's getting up. We really need to be like that doll and get up. And we can only get up when there is a purpose in our life, when there is something that we really want to do for others and not just for ourselves, which will pull us back. There is no time to rest. There is no time to sit back.
Suparna, that's so beautiful. I've never seen an imagery before of this doll. You said there are only two positions. Yes. Tell us again, please, what those two positions are, because I want us to get this one.
Okay, one is up. The doll is up. And once you've punched it, it is getting up. It never falls. It's
that's
getting up.
That is so beautiful. Gosh, I got to look for that punching doll, because that's something I want to have.
I don't see it now. But yeah.
Yeah, and you connected this to resilience. And I said, oh boy, life may knock a person down, but then you pointed to resilience. What's resilience, and why is that important in this getting back up like that doll that was just punched out?
Mhm. Because today's day, in this fast
Mm,
track time,
mm,
we hardly have time to stay and fall back and wait for
yeah.
somebody to come and hold our hand and pull us back. That
Mm,
those times are gone. So today's
yeah.
day, everybody needs to be equipped, and they should have that in them, that they just know how to bounce back. And it
Wow.
will not, they cannot bounce back only by thinking, oh, I need to bounce back, I need to bounce back.
Mm,
It is only when there is a reason for them to bounce back.
mm,
If I know I'm part of some
mm,
say non-profit organization, if I know there are 5 lives which are looking at me, I need to be there to hold them
yeah.
back. I stand up.
Hmm. So this resilience, is this something that a person has to acquire, or is resilient a part of our nature as human beings?
That's a very interesting question. I would say yes to both. I have
Mm,
seen, I have seen people in my own life who had no training on psychology, who had no training on mental health issues, but I've seen them so resilient as by
mm,
nature, and including my mom. Yeah. So, and of course, as I said in the beginning, that my mom has a very huge impact on my life, and also to be teaching them. It's very important to teach people how to be resilient, because we
mm,
cannot stop. As mental health workers, we need to be at it and keep on telling them the
mm,
importance of being resilient. And that way, that's how they will acquire
mm.
resilience with them if they are not enough resilient.
Uh,
But
uh-huh.
so
Yeah,
both.
I hear you. If they're not recognizing it, you may have to fan the flame a little bit, right? Until that resilience catches fire. Now, you've mentioned your mom a couple of times. So I can't resist, so tell us more about that relationship and how she positively impacted your life.
Uh, well, probably she is the reason why I am a happiness coach today, because
Mm,
I understood happiness seeing her. There are many, many stories about her. I mean, that'll be a separate podcast. But
yeah.
just to mention, um, you know, we live in India. There are a lot of poor people here. People are
Mm,
homeless. People don't have clothes, don't have food. So my mom, whenever she would go visit her sisters, or she would tell them beforehand, set aside all the old clothes that you have of your kids, and
mm,
she would bring back bags full of old clothes. Yeah, I I was witness to it. Every evening she had a box of buttons, a needle and thread, and she would check if all the buttons were there. If not, she would put in the button, sew it, wash them, iron them, fold them properly. And then she had her own set of people. They would come time to time to collect clothes. And when she would give them, it was like this. I don't know if you can see my hand like this.
yes,
And
yes.
it was an offering.
Mm,
And she told us that, you see, how happy do you feel when you get a new dress?
mm,
For them, this is new. So
right.
even if you just pick it up from your cupboard, crumpled and
Mm,
crushed, and give them, they will still take it. But for
that's
them, it
beautiful.
is new. So there is a part of God in them. Of course, she being a very spiritual woman, she said
Yeah.
there's a part of God in them. So
Wow.
respect God in them. And so, and I saw the kind of joy in her face.
Mm,
For me, that is happiness.
wow. That's beautiful. I mean, I love it. Your mother sounds like she was an amazing woman.
She
And
was.
look at the result. You, the happiness coach. So now let's go back to continuing here to look at mental health, because I know that you work in that arena. What kinds of challenges have you seen, or do you see in your practice that people may have in that area?
Oh, the people, of course, they have many. Most importantly, what I see is they wait to be.
Mm,
From the perspective of happiness, I would like to say they are waiting to be. I'll be happy when I'm rich. I'll be happy when I get the job. I'll be happy when my boyfriend calls me. So and today's youth, they have a lot of relationship issues.
Yeah.
So uh, they always make the happiness as conditional something, which is not true. Happiness has to be absolute. Most
Wow.
of the time, they are looking at relative happiness. I buy a car, I'm happy today. I shift into a new home, I'm happy today. What about 6 months later? That happiness is gone. So those are all relative happiness. But
Yeah.
absolute happiness is when you do something selflessly or you have
Mm,
a much bigger mission. And for that,
mm,
it's not that you need to have a lot of money or a lot of power to do something. That's why I spoke about my
mm,
mom. She
mhm.
did not spend even probably a penny to, do that. But to gain that happiness, it was just the effort and this
Oh,
heart, most
that's
important.
that's so that's so beautiful because you mentioned relationships. It appears, and I want you to comment on this. It helped me understand this. It appears that some people think relationship is gotten from their connection with a person. So if you love me, then I'm happy. It's
Mm.
like the external makes me happy. But I think you're saying something different. That your happiness can't be dependent on some outside factor.
Yeah. You see, the moment I make, uh, say, I'm in love with somebody and I
Uh,
make that person the center of my life. And then I keep thinking that, okay, if he is happy, if he talks nicely to me, I'm
yeah,
happy. If he's texting me 5 times a day,
yeah,
I'm happy. If he's calling me up 10 times a day, I'm happy. I
yeah.
cannot do that. That is not relationship.
Mm,
Relationship is
wow.
not being on each other. Relationship is like this. You both move forward parallelly with
Mm,
a common space and a space around each, because
wow.
that is what relationship is all about. Because if one is leaning on the other, then if one falls, the other falls.
Mm. I
So
just love that. I love it, because a lot of people think of relationship as being you're dependent. It's like one unhealthy person or maybe two unhealthy people, and together they form this partnership. But you're saying two healthy people who are co-creators in a sense can perhaps have a beautiful relationship. I love that a lot. Wow.
mhm,
Okay, so I'm going to continue looking at this now because you offer some things that I hadn't seen in this context before as I kind of reviewed you. And you spoke about anger at one point, and then you pulled out what you called the anger iceberg. Do you recall talking about that and sharing that? The anger iceberg.
oh
Anger
yeah,
iceberg.
yeah,
What is
sure,
this? First of all,
yeah.
what is this anger iceberg? And how could this help us, resolve our own pain around anger and
Yes,
suffering?
yes. See, there are two aspects to it. One is the person who is angry, and the other is the people around that angry person.
Mm,
The person who is angry because the person is holding back a lot inside, lot of pain, lot of hurt, lot of sadness, lot of uh, frustration. So lot many negative things that person is holding inside, and
mm.
because the person cannot express that, it comes out as anger.
Ah,
So
okay.
but the most important thing is not the person who's displaying anger, but the people around.
Wow.
Because the people around, whenever they find somebody is angry, they misjudge, and they only look at that anger, that's the top, but they don't look what is behind, which is what is
Mm,
under that anger.
mm,
you know
mm,
so as a heart-centric person, I always insist people that please don't
mm,
judge the person by the anger. Try to look deep and try to look into the hurt, the pain, the frustration,
mm.
the dissatisfaction this person is holding.
Yeah.
And
Oh
then
gosh.
we become more empathetic.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Whoa. That is absolutely beautiful. What I heard you say, and I want you to say more, is that the person who may express anger may simply be a person who is in pain and having
So,
trouble resolving it. And the outburst is simply a reflection of that.
so
Wow.
I
Well,
open up your heart.
yeah, yeah. Now,
Praise.
yeah, that's beautiful because, which is, gosh. So you're saying that we can actually help someone like that if we're able to see other possibilities.
Of course, see the
Yeah,
possibility. And you can
yeah.
give so much of relief to that person.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
most of the time, one angry person, immediately triggers the other one, and the other one is
Yeah.
equally or, displaying much.
Yeah. Oh, that's a recipe for war. Yeah, you got two presidents. So we never get to resolution. So now, but you do not only mental health, and this is what I like about you. Maybe this is when, matter of fact, let me roll back because you also mentioned that you are a lifestyle practitioner. So I want to throw this in there before I ask my next question because I think it's all connected. So as a lifestyle practitioner, does mental health and happiness and all of that fit under lifestyle practitioner?
You see, yes, of course, because what is lifestyle? If I'm looking at a positive lifestyle, I need to be emotionally stable. So if I'm not emotionally stable, I cannot have a positive lifestyle or a lifestyle that is beneficial for others. A lifestyle which encourages empathy, a lifestyle which encourages happiness. It will not happen unless I'm emotionally stable. So all these three are linked. Everything is linked together, and it's like an umbrella under which
Wow.
falls.
Yeah. So that's why then, because not only now you're a psychologist, you've done NLP, involved with mental space psychology, but then I saw you also talk about and work people about their physical health, about body health. So
Yes.
how do you coach people around being, healthy?
Oh, yes, because a happy body creates a happy mind. So, I always insist my clients to take care of their body. The body is very, very important. I insist that they go in for exercise, they go in for some kind of physical activity, some kind of mindfulness activities, so that they can develop a healthy body. Because if the body is not healthy, then you cannot, even the neurotransmitters, the happy hormones will go. So body is the first step towards creating happiness in our own lives. We need to have good health. I don't mean you all need to be like, we need to be athletes or runners or marathon, but then to be active, mind, body, and spirit, all three go hand.
Yeah, I'm curious, what about proper nutrition? Does that figure into all of this as well?
Yes, of course. Of course, what we put into our body, we need to be conscious. And as part of conscious music code, I also believe in conscious living. So we need to be conscious about what we are putting into our body. Because
conscious living.
Yes, the first step towards conscious living. And then, of course, what all we consume, the music that we are consuming, the sounds that we are consuming, the kind of attire that we are putting on, the fabric that we are using, we need to be really, really conscious about that.
Well, I love that phrase. I got to confess my ignorance. I've never heard of it used in this way before, conscious living.
Yes.
And it hit me because it's saying, look, you're saying you can live deliberately, you can live on purpose, you can live, by making choices that enrich this physical being and mental being. This is awesome.
So,
wow.
Yeah. In fact, we are planning to do certain retreats on conscious, how we and where we can really encourage people towards conscious living.
Yeah. Wow. Now,
Tina, and do it.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm inspired by it. So now I want to talk about you working with clients because, I've seen things when I've read about you about reframing and replacing limiting beliefs and, shaping your identity. Tell me about that. How do you work with clients and how do you get them to reframe and replace, their stressful patterns?
Because a lot of the problems that I see comes from limiting beliefs.
Mm.
I will never be able to overcome my fear of spiders. I will never be able to look down from a height. I will never be able to learn swimming. I will never be able to be rich. These are all subconscious programming of the mind. So when we reframe, we are sending in that signal to the subconscious. And then the subconscious, of course, has the power to bridge the reality, which is I'm not rich, and the programming that I believe in abundance. I am abundant in my life. And the subconscious has a power to bridge the gap.
Wow.
And hence the importance of reframing.
Mm.
So reframe our thoughts more than what we say is the chatter is happening in the mind all the time. So we really need to work on our thoughts and then on our words and then on our actions.
Mm.
So
So this is not these, reframe, replace, limiting beliefs, reframe, limiting thought patterns. These are not slogans for you. It's like you believe this is possible.
of course, yes, of course. I've done it myself with my own life. So many, I am no God. I also had my areas of darkness. So I overcame them myself first. And so I know it is easy. It can be done. Well, sometimes it may take more time, but then it can be done.
Uh-huh. Well, Suparna, you just opened the door. I can't let it go. You said you faced your own adversity. Can you give us a glimpse into what you have probably faced? Just a glimpse into it and how you have overcome them using these tools.
Yeah, it's personal, but I would like to share with you because this is for the benefit of others, that I had a belief that I could never make big money. I thought, okay, I came from a humble background, and earning more money was for my husband's domain, and for me, my money is enough to see me through, but I can never earn big money. So that was the kind of belief system that even I was operating from. And then I started reframing the thought. And, constantly, you can call it affirmation kind of, I kept telling myself that I'm rich. Exactly, this is the word I use. I'm rich. And I changed my situation.
Wow.
And
yeah.
it came through my honest efforts. It came through my earnestness, and it came through my sincerity and honesty. But it did happen. It did change.
That's awesome. Can you think of a couple of other areas where people may have come to you, or people that in the world today would say, I want this, but I don't think it's possible? I mean, what are some areas where people with limiting beliefs can actually reframe them? Can you give us maybe 2 examples? You mentioned money for yourself. What else?
Many. One area, one particular incident, I would like to say, this girl, when she came to me, she had severe anxiety issues because of her father. So she had a huge relationship problem with her father. She thought that the father was a tyrant and he was not understanding her. This girl was a little meek and timid, and so she didn't know how to bridge the gap, and she thought that her relationship with her father would never improve. She had given up all hopes. And when she came to me, and this I'm talking about a year back, and today, this day, she has a fantastic relationship with her father.
Wow.
So it was It was her subconscious programming
Huh.
that
So
helped her.
how did you go about coaching her to reframe that relationship?
Yeah. So, sometimes what happens is people are also not being able to see the perspective.
Mm,
Sometimes what happens is, for example, this girl, she was only thinking about herself. Of course, she was
mm,
in pain, she was in a lot of distress, but she was not being able to see her father's perspective. So,
mm,
firstly, I had to clear that. I had to clear that. And then I constantly encouraged her to reframe her thoughts.
mm.
But it all happened parallelly,
Okay.
only not just reframing. But at the same time, I had to counsel her, I had to coach her to understand how the dynamics of relationships work.
Mm,
And what came out interestingly is that the father is also a nice man. It's only that his way of expression was a little too tough for the girl to take. Probably some
okay.
other girl would have managed, but she couldn't. So
Right.
I had to speak to the father also. So you see, everything, this is a holistic approach. You cannot just take one tool and say, okay, I'll use only reframing to change the situation. That will not happen.
Mm,
So you have to see the whole situation in its correct perspective and then use various methods, a little of this and a little of that, to
yeah.
help the client.
That's fantastic. What if someone came to you and let's say it's the CEO, and the CEO says to you, you know something, I have to address a convention. I'm the CEO, but I'm nervous about speaking to how would you coach a person like that to reframe their thinking about public speaking?
Well, if the CEO comes to me tonight and says that tomorrow I have a meeting, then of course it is a bit of a wishful thinking, but yet still I would try and tell him that keep telling yourself, I'm the best.
Mm, mhm,
Because you are the best, your knowledge is perfect. So it just keep telling yourself that my voice will do God's job or something like
mm,
that. And what I say out will be meaningful, it will be engaging.
mhm.
And keep telling yourself that throughout the night. And then go
Mm,
on stage tomorrow and see the difference. But
mhm.
I have come across situations like this when I had to tell people for the next day that this, okay, you have 24 hours, and on this 24 hours, keep repeating this to yourself.
Mm,
So
yeah,
otherwise, it is a journey where you coach
yeah.
people slowly.
Mm. Why does it appear to be easier? And I say appear to be because maybe it's not easier to accept a negative thought than it is to just naturally have, these affirming thoughts. Why is it like that, you think?
See, darkness, negativity is addictive.
Ooh, okay.
It's easier to fall prey to that kind of negativity or darkness where that's why a lot of songs have made so much of a difference in the world.
Mm,
Where especially young people, they think that is the life that they have and they can relate to. That's why I really have a good mind to take it up as a crusade that please stop saying, creating these kind of songs, which
mhm.
it is of course relatable for the youth, but then we are pulling them down into darkness. So
Yeah.
anything negative, anything dark is addictive. And that is why people get more into this, but only when you need to bring them out, or as you said, affirmations,
Mm,
it is definitely difficult because
mhm.
then there's a lot of effort involved. There's a lot of
Right.
action to be taken.
Mhm.
I couldn't just sit and say, I'm going to be rich. I want to make more money.
Yeah.
There was a lot of action involved in that, a lot of determination in that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then you can really go to that step.
Uh-huh. So you think that people then who are striving, who want more, who want to do better, it's possible. Is that what if they work with someone who, if they need coaching, that kind of thing?
Yes, yes. And
Mm.
it's them who's doing it, not the coach. It's the
Oh,
person
okay.
who's doing it, right? The
Mm.
coach is just like the push, but then the action, the mindset, the change in the mindset, the action, the determination, the willingness, it all comes from them. The coach is only
Yeah.
there to, trigger this or, fan
Mm.
those things in them.
Yeah. Today we're still in the heel of the pandemic, and a lot of people, I mean, you turn on the television or the radio or listen to some podcasts, people are saying we're in tough times, we're in tough times. So what about you, Suparna? Are you optimistic or pessimistic about where we're going to go as a world, civilization going forward? It's now, just so people will know, it's 2023 when we're having this conversation.
You see, I am a die-hard optimist.
Mm.
You cannot bring in pessimism in me. So because of that, I'm very, very hopeful that yes, we will be able to make it. We will turn this world around because consciousness in people is rising. I see that around me. And because of this, and I'm so hopeful about the youth of today. So I know they are the ones who will be the change makers and who will bring about the change. They've become much more conscious. They've stopped using leather bags. They're very, very conscious about a lot of things. They're not using their cars. They are using their bicycles. So there is a lot of change that I see in the youth, and that gives more hope.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure we will create a better world.
Mm.
And good sense will prevail.
I love it. Yeah. Now, spirituality has come up in our conversation. The universe has come up in this conversation, and God has come up in this conversation. What is your sense of all of this? What is your sense of whoever the supreme is?
Yeah, I because I've been practicing Nichiren Buddhism for the last 15 years, and I believe that this universe has abundance of goodness.
Mm.
It's only these lives, we need to be attuned to be able to, attract that positivity in us.
Mm.
So for me, that is spirituality. And for me, spirituality is all about my mission, my purpose, I need to know why I'm here in this world and what I can leave behind to this world, what I can give back to this world in whichever way, whichever format. That is spirituality for me.
Do you think that's a journey for all of us to try to figure out why we're here and what can we offer, that may make things better for all? Is that why we're here, you think?
Oh, yes. I think if all of us would start thinking this way, this world would be a wonderful place to live in.
Mm. Yeah.
And I'm so hopeful that one day we will reach that place.
Right. Look, I got one more. I just got to get one more in because you made a social media post about there are an ocean of possibilities for us in this land. And I wondered, what did you mean about ocean of possibilities?
You see, every moment, I think there are, we are actually swimming in this ocean of possibilities. Every moment has so much of possibilities. It is on us to make the choice, whether we choose to use it or leave it.
Yeah. Wow. I get this feeling from you. There's no need for despair. It's possible, baby.
Yes, it is. It is. For me, there is, and my mentor, Dr. Daisaku Ikeda, he always speaks about being positive. So
I
there's
love it.
nothing possible. It is always, In fact, before the podcast, I was reading a book written by him, Making the
Uh,
Impossible Possible. So,
Whoa. Yeah.
so I strongly believe in that.
Uh-huh.
Every impossible possible. Only we need to open up our hearts
Yeah.
and believe
Yeah. That's
ourselves.
beautiful. That's beautiful indeed. We've touched upon a number of things. Is there anything else you care to share with us before we say goodbye today?
No, thank you so much for this lovely conversation. And I just would like to address the youth
Mhm.
and say that it becomes easy to be happy when you stop complaining
Mm.
about your problems. And from now on, from this moment, start being grateful for the problems you don't have.
Mm.
Because gratitude is the biggest key to happiness.
Yeah.
Let's all be grateful. At any point of time, the list of haves is much more longer than the list of have-nots.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing it. Well, there you have it. You've been listening to the Possibility Action Network podcast. Our guest today has been Suparna Ghosh. I'm your host, Stephen Middleton. Until next time, good day